because the cloud just costs a lot of money. Well, the model at ASOS is that we're adopting a platform model in that the development teams are the third line support for their solutions and applications. So if app support can't deal with it through the normal troubleshooting procedure or process, it gets bounced back to third line support. And it's just, I don't know, this feels like a bit of a cop-out answer, but it's just up for the developers to get to the bottom of the problem. Generally, we work it out. There are not too many problems that we have where we are completely stuck. Generally, the developers and the QAs between them can kind of work out what's gone on and fix the problem. It's a lot of the times with stuff like that. Especially because we are replatforming away from this legacy system. A lot of the time, it's just about having like a data fix in the legacy database, and then just replaying the message, and it goes through. One example is that in certain situations, some of the services we were getting duplicate entries in some tables, and then number one, to get the message to go through was to delete the duplicate entry, and then the second phase of that was to find the root cause of the bug, which was writing the duplicate entry in the first place to stop it happening. It's one of those ones where it kind of depends. It's like it depends on the situation. There's not a one single answer to that problem.
Okay. Well, something more tangible then. If it's say order comes in, order's accepted.
Yep.
It's recorded in a database, but it's not been charged, and therefore it hasn't been dispatched. So customer still is expecting I've got an order that's good, but it's stuck somewhere.
Okay, so if an order is stuck like that somewhere, that probably means that, so a message has ended up on the error queue, and there would be a stack trace somewhere where we could work out what's going on. Also, as part of I explained that kind of our existing database the existing SQL database is effectively our read model that we're updating. Then we are actually updating the order status in there. So an app supports daily are running statuses to say how many orders do we have at a particular status, or any orders have been stuck at a particular status longer than they should be, and then we can get to the bottom of it. Support's difficult, and software is not perfect, and you get all kinds of different problems, and we just rely on the developers. We know that our developers are good, and it's just a matter of working out what's happened.
Sorry, and the other thing was if you were say you've got a really good stable N7 Plus solution, but let's say you were going to move all to Azure.
Yeah.
Are there any kind of gotchas, a bit like when you mentioned there, like with the the transport or something?
Yeah. So
you'd be worried about using Azure for.
So we not everywhere, but I alluded to an example with integration with a payment provider, right? To guarantee certain behaviour, we rely on the store and forward pattern. Yeah. So, but the thing is the other part of the puzzle is that, well, the part of the puzzle, but the other side to it is that because it's payments, usually the payment stuff is PCI compliant. Now, officially, Windows Azure is PCI compliant, but if you want to get a security officer to sign off on that, you're going to struggle, right? So we will probably leave our payment services on premise in our nicely audited, nicely controlled PCI zone, and then what we would do is we are actually looking at moving other services to the cloud and using the cloud transport. Fortunately, those other types of services, because we don't have this idempotency worry with refunds and similar scenarios because it's not payments. We can deal with the lack of store and forward. We can cope with it. The store and forward is most critical around certain payment scenarios because this is the customer, it's their money. You can't muck around, you can't get it wrong. So I guess we're lucky in a way that where store and forward is important, we would likely stay on premise anyway.
What do you use for cloud as a messaging provider?
We're using the Azure Service Bus. You can use the Azure storage queues. That's another supported transport for and Service Bus, but we're using the Azure Service Bus because, as I said before, all of the stuff that I'm working on is around order processing. A lot of it's PCI compliant. We're on premise. I've not looked too much at the two Azure transports, the Azure storage queues and the Azure Service Bus. The other parts of the business have chosen that, made that decision off the basis of a lot sort of detailed knowledge than I have. I can't compare and contrast the two. They both work. I would say examine the two transports and find out which is the best to you, which is the best for you, because the two also have very different cost profiles. In that you pay per use in Azure. So if you are getting a message from the queue, it's costing you money, a very small amount of money, per message. But part of your decision is going to be what's the cost profile for these queues. Okay, I guess that's it. Thanks for listening.